another video and welcome to Sammy G's World of Cinema. Today on the channel, guys, I am going to be continuing on with my Wes Anderson review series. I know there's been a few gaps here and there between my Wes Anderson reviews, but yeah, I thought I would just still crack on with this now, guys, and I'm really having a good time revisiting and reviewing all of Wes Anderson's movies individually. And then when we eventually get there, guys, there is gonna be my Wes Anderson filmography ranking video as well, which, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if that ranking has changed over time, because I've got it kind of in sort of in a kind of a different order in on Letterboxd, but it'd be interesting to see if that changes over time. So this one I am reviewing today is the 2020 film Moonrise Kingdom, of course directed by Mr. Wes Anderson. It is starring Bruce Willis, Edward Norton, Bill Murray, Frances McDormand, Tilda Swinton, Jason Schwartzman, Paul Baladan, Jared Gilman, and Cara Hayward. And the film is about it takes place on a fictional island in New Penance in 1965, and it's about a young orphan named Sam who decides to leave this scout camp, and he wants to trail to this isolated beach, and there's this woodland, and to be united with his pen pal and love interest Susie. When they are acquainted with one another, a year later after they first meet, briefly at this this theatre when they first met. So a year later they meet, and then their disappearance is brought to the attention of Captain Duffy Sharp, played by Bruce Willis. This is his only Wes Anderson film as well, I believe, and then he organises a search party for the scout camp leaders and the scouts to go on a search party looking for Sam and Susie, and also of course get the parents and family members involved as well. So what is my thoughts on Moonrise Kingdom as a film? Well, guys, I really like this one. I think this is a fantastic Wes Anderson film. I think it's kind of one of more Wes Anderson's grounded pieces, I would say. This is not as artsy or, kind of experimental left field as maybe one or two of his other films, which is no bad thing at all, because I do love that side to Wes Anderson's films still nonetheless. But this is kind of one of his more accessible works as well. And yep, this is a very good Wes Anderson film as well. I really just like the 1960s vibe about this film. And also what I just think, again, the young actors who play Sam and Susie, so Gerard Gilman and Cara Hayward, do pretty good, solid performances here. I think all the cast and crew absolutely nail it yet again here. And yeah, like I say, probably one of the standouts for me in this film was Bruce Willis as again, his only Wes Anderson film today, and he stars as this police captain, and I just really like his downbeat sort of presence, but yet he wants to get as much evidence as possible, and he's really onto the case here. He's wanting to kind of prove that he's not just sit back and just doing absolute jackhole about this. He's wanting to actually prove himself worthy to the story, and that's exactly what he does here. A bit of screen time as well with Frances McDormand's character, who she's in a little bit of a a little little bit of a frazzled sort of like relationship with Bill Murray's character. And I've got to say, to be honest, guys, as much as I love Bill Murray, he's never been one of my favourite characters in this film. I think I just much prefer it when he's been in like Rushmore or The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, of course, and of course like you know, like even the Grand Budapest Hotel, where I know he was a bit in and out in that movie, but I think his character I found a little bit more interesting in there, just with the part he had to play. But yeah, he does serve a purpose to the story, and of course, Bill Murray does still a fine job as one of the main side characters there. But just in terms of like characters, he's just not one of my favourites in this film. But when he's on screen, he is great to watch and stuff. And there's actually one memorable scene where he's carrying an axe, and yeah, he says, I'll back, I'm gonna cut down this tree or something. Yeah, that is definitely kind of the standout moment with his character. But yeah, Frances McDormand is absolutely fantastic, as you would expect from her. You know, she absolutely delivers in every scene in this film, as she has accomplished in other Wes Anderson's films, but also other movies in general. She just is firing at all pistons as ever. You know, like obviously, you know, she's proved that time and time again, you know, winning like obviously 3 Oscars, you know, like as best leading actress. And yep, she absolutely just delivers in every scene she's in this. And I've got to say as well, Edward Norton was probably, I would say he was definitely one of my favourite characters in this film. I just, again, you don't know whether you kind of really like or you're on board with his character at the start, but then as the movie goes on, you actually do like his character, and you know, he's really kind of down to earth, and he's on the side of one of the main characters. He's really looking out for people, and you know, he's really dedicated to his job in this as well. So yeah, I would say he's definitely one of the standout characters in this film to boot. Going back to what I was saying about Sam and Susie as well, the young actors that play Sam and Susie, Jared Gilman and Cara Haywood, they were great in this film. You know, I think they had great chemistry when they're on screen. You know, you kind of sympathize for each of their characters, because one has like lost their parents, the other one is kind of going through a little bit of a patchy situation, like with their family, and that is Susie, and Susie's you know, like got her own troubles going on. She's got a little bit of a dissatisfying relationship with her family, and she kind of wants to drift away from her problems in the best way shape possible. And that is kind of why this brings Sam and Susie together. I mean, Sam runs away because like he doesn't want to be involved in this in the scout camp activities anymore, but also like he actually finds out that his foster parents have actually got busy lives themselves, so he kind of then wants to form, you know, like kind of a getaway and you know, like spend as much quality time with Susie possible. And what I really enjoyed as well is I really liked the sort of the calm, you know, like sort of score that I think it's Mark Mothersbaugh who I think is it the score, or is it Alexandra Despal, and one of them to do the score for this yet again here, and it's got that real ornate, calmer feel about it, which I think it really just adds to the nature of what you're visualizing, you know, like with the woodlands and the trees, the lake, and just by the riverside as well, and I think the score really just enhances that, to be honest. So the score was kind of beautiful. It was kind of, it wasn't like as big and brass and you know, like, sort of bombastic as probably a couple of the other score pieces in a Wes Anderson film, which, again, that score is absolutely fantastic as well on its own accord here. And this, again, the composer absolutely delivers with like his original score to this. I think, again, like I say, Mark Mothersbaugh or Alexander Desplat, and they just do this the score, the music side of it, absolute service here. What else I really liked was, again, like this sort of like this isolated beach, I think, had, you know, a really good, like, sort of like, again, it wasn't kind of a big part of the story throughout, but when you get to that isolate, like that sort of like that beach, it's you know, it's again got that real like sort of like calm coastal sort of scenic view to it. And yeah, it was a good like sort of like choice in terms of like location there. But yeah, again, like, I just like how the character work in this film was really good, as you would expect in a Wes Anderson film. Like, again, character work is just one of the best sort of like tropes that is accomplished in one of his movies, because you sympathize with the characters and you're either really on board with them, or you kind of, there's one or two characters that you kind of start to detest, but you kind of want the characters that you are on board with to kind of get their own strides, shall we say. But yeah, I thought, again, there is such an interesting story with this, like, runaway. And then I think and then the only gripe I really have about this film was the thing that kind of I didn't really care all that much about was probably when Sam and Susie were quite close with one another on the beach, and there was some sort of like cringe dialogue here and there, and it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit on, you know, in that segment of the film. So yeah, that is the part of the movie I have never really been all that fussed about. But other than that, when you do see Sam and Susie, you kind of are rooting for them and you're on their sides to get like their own way here. However, though, whilst this search party is still on the cards here, you still really are on board with like the characters that are kind of like in their own sort of like individual sort of either pairings or like sort of like groups, shall we say. But yeah, like I say, Frances McDormand and Bill Murray as Susie's parents, and then Edward Norton is like the scout camp leader. You've got Bill Bruce Willis as the police guard, and yeah, and that still wholeheartedly want what's the best for both Sam and Susie here, and they're just looking out for them. They're doing what they should do, and to, you know, like make sure everything is okay with each of their characters. But also what I really liked was the setting with Susie's parents' house. Now, this gave me a little bit of a similar vibe to the Tenenbaum house, of course, in the Royal Tenenbaums, just the way it was layered out and it was structured there. You know, you would get that different sort of like colour palette to it. There would be like a tent in like the living room or something. So yeah, there was a little bit of a similar aesthetic there to something along the lines of the Royal Tenenbaums there. And yeah, that is just, again, when you see kind of the colours blend and mesh together, that is, again, a classic trope of a Wes Anderson film, and very much something that I you know, like I kind of want more of in like kind of modern cinema as well. Like, you know, I think, again, something about vibrant colours in the background, and it goes hand in hand with the storytelling, or it expresses a certain mood. I think, again, this is something I think, again, is really well handled down to a T in this. But Yep, so I really liked how it was, again, I also really liked sort of the references to like different books as well, that kind of, and when Susie's kind of doing a little bit of storytelling and she kind of reads out certain pages or different sentences that is kind of interlinked with something that's going on at the same time. I really liked that. Again, something that has happened before in a Wes Anderson film is like the use of like kind of a record player as well. I think, again, it's got that real sort of it's got that real, it really captures that, again, 60s vintage vibe really well here. And also, guys, I've got to say, like, during like the search party as well, there's like, kind of, without spoiling what goes on throughout its sort of like duration, I also really liked this one scene where there's like this motorcycle gang involved, or this motorcycle group, should we say. Was it a motorcycle? No, sorry, it wasn't a motorcycle group, guys. Apologies. It was again like the scouts coming together, and then they see Sam and Susie, but there was one character played by a young Lucas Hedges, who I think was in the likes of Manchester by the Sea and Lady Bird, and he's on a motorbike. And there's one quite comical moment in there where Sam, he basically stands for no shit in the slightest, and basically he's like, do not cross this stick. And what does he do? He just goes in, this guy just goes in his way, and to give a real sort of attempt, like giving kind of a piece of his own medicine, and then, like, long beholds, does he regret it, because like something just drastic happens to the motorbike. And you just see the motorbike is like near like this tree. There's also quite kind of one comical moment where there's like lighting involved, and like there'd be one character that would be making this epic speech, and then there'd just be lightning out of nowhere. And it was done in kind of like a comedy fashion. So yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights for me. Also, yeah, I do like some of, like, again, like, I love it when a Wes Anderson film does kind of like flashbacks to compare itself to present day in the movie, and I liked it that it did it yet again here, where you learn how Sam and Susie meet, and it's like at this stage play, this theatre production, and yeah, and then like it takes them like a year till they are like properly united with one another there. Also, the way the film is this like observational feel about it. There's this guy, I think played Stacy by Bob Balaban, and I just kind of like, he's sort of like, when he comes in out of the movie, like scene by scene, and he's in, he's got like sort of his own commentary on what's happening, and I just, again, love that part of like a Wes Anderson movie. It adds to the charm, and it does. It does serve like a purpose to like what you actually are watching on screen there. Also, the final act is great in this film, guys. Like, again, I just love how kind of the use of rain and lightning enhances with kind of like that intensity where you're really rooting for Sam and Susie to kind of kind of get their own way, and then when there's like the change of weather, and there's that use of rain and stuff, I felt that was a really kind of it kind of really delivered on that side of the story. And also, I really liked the use of like the blue color palette as well, and then getting the use of rain, the storm, and the lightning. So something of a similar vibe to the Shawshank Redemption, where there is that iconic scene with Andy Dufresne there. So, yeah, guys, overall, I've got not many complaints about this film. There's only like one scene during the movie that I've never been a big fan of, and it's that kind of that intimate scene on the beach, which it does pull me out of the movie a little bit, but it doesn't kind of take me out of the whole movie, if that kind of makes sense. So Moonrise Kingdom is a great film, and again, it's definitely a really good introduction piece if you're new to Wes Anderson's filmography. It's one of his more grounded in tone sort of films, and one of his more accessible works, and it is just mind-blowing to think that after this, there is a complete departure in tone and story, and there's a with the Grand Budapest Hotel, it's a kind of a complete departure from this, but again, you kind of see it has a real complete 180. Everything this film has to offer, and everything Wes Anderson has to offer in this film, he kind of just goes another level and beyond with the Grand Budapest Hotel. So Moonrise Kingdom is a great film, guys. And also this film, Wes Anderson kind of it was kind of inspired by some of his sort of his childhood memories. And I think there was a time where his parents were kind of going through a little bit of a patchy period there, and he kind of and also he would also be living in Texas with his two brothers, and also he was in a stage production of Noah's Ark as well, and also he was kind of inspired by some of the French New Wave films, I could say, which Wes Anderson is such a big fan of. A prime example with this is The 400 Blows from Francis Truffaut. So great movie, guys, and definitely would get my high recommendation there. Moonrise Kingdom, I'm gonna give an 8 out of 10 there. So again, another home run in Wes Anderson's filmography, and this man is just gonna go to infinity and beyond with in another level of quality and glory in his next film, Grand Budapest Hotel, which I cannot wait to revisit again and review it on the channel when I get to doing that video. So yeah, guys, that has been my review of Moonrise Kingdom. Do let me know your thoughts on this movie, and what's your thoughts on Wes Anderson's films, and do you have a favorite Wes Anderson film? I would love to know all of that good stuff in the comments down below there. So thanks for watching, cheers for stopping by, and until next time, I'll see you for the next video. Bye bye.